Hi everybody, today we will see how to properly backup and upgrade DaDaBIK. I installed DaDaBIK on A2 hosting, in particular on a very cheap shared hosting service that I use only for personal tests basically. And here is the DaDaBIK version I have here. It's DaDaBIK 11.6 if I remember well. Yes, 11.6 Enterprise. Okay, and it's running with PHP 7.4. So what I want to do is upgrade DaDaBIK to the latest version, 11.8, and upgrade the PHP version as well. We want to use PHP 8.1. This is a simple CRM, so we have customers, companies, it's just a test basically, sales, and we have a dashboard, usual things for these kind of applications. And here, so the DaDaBIK is installed under test Dada CRM, and here from the file manager I can see the actual files. So this is Dada CRM, and here the DaDaBIK files. So I'm using cPanel here. This is what the hosting provides. I'm not a fan of cPanel. It's not my favorite control panel, but it's very popular, and I know that many of you use it. So I think it's useful to use exactly this control panel. Okay, so let me show something first. From here, PHP, okay, from here I can choose the PHP version to use. So select PHP version. Right now it should be 7.4 exactly. Here you have all the extensions you want to use, and it's very easy to install the extensions you need. So for example, you know that DaDaBIK requires IonCube. It's already installed for PHP 7.4, but you know, like clicking here, I uninstall it, and to reinstall it I just need to click again. So very easy. This doesn't mean that the same extension is available and installed on all the other PHP versions. You have to check, but in case it isn't, you click on you flag the checkbox. In case you don't see one or more extensions you need, ask your hosting provider, because maybe it's just that you know, you're not running the latest cPanel version, and after an upgrade you will see them. All right, so if I change the PHP version from 7.4 to 8.1, and well, for 8.1 we also have to install IonCube because it was not installed. Okay, apply. Okay, now we are running PHP 8.1. However, this won't work anymore. Why? Because only the latest version of DaDaBIK supports PHP 8.1. Well, actually not the latest, because the latest is 11.8. Even 11.7 supported PHP 8.1, but not 11.6. So we have to come back here to PHP 7. apply, we will do the upgrade to the latest version of DaDaBIK using PHP 7, and then we will change the PHP version. So let me check if it's working now. Okay, good. So before upgrading, the most important thing you have to do is you have to make a backup of your DaDaBIK application, and the backup consists of a backup of the files that compose the application and a backup of the database that DaDaBIK uses. Okay, from cPanel is very easy. Let me find it, to create a backup. So if I click here, I get a backup of my home directory with all the files. If I click here, this is the database I'm using in DaDaBIK, and I can double check it here. I get a backup of the database, a so-called dump, SQL dump of the database. Once you have these two pieces of backup, in case something happens during the upgrade, maybe you get an error, you can always come back, restore back your previous application exactly as it was. So no problem. What can happen during an upgrade? Well, the upgrade in some cases needs to, the upgrade procedure, needs to alter your database schema. So for example, adding some columns, renaming some other columns. I'm talking about the DaDaBIK internal tables, not the tables containing your data. So if for some reason you get an error during the upgrade process, maybe some modifications have been done and some other haven't. That's why you need to stop, report to the support what happened, and restore your previous application. Okay? However, there is an additional thing you should do before starting the upgrade procedure, and even before starting the backup. You should be sure that nobody is using the application in the moment you are working on the backup and upgrade. One thing you can do, this is what I do for the internal tools I manage, developed with DaDaBIK. Typically, I upgrade the installations during a time of the day during which I know that nobody or few people access the application. But to be sure, I password protect the application itself. So here, for example, so I'm sure that I only know the password, and I will be the only one who will use the application during the upgrade. Why do we need that? Well, again, during the upgrade process, not only the database is altered, also the files are replaced. So during the upgrade process, DaDaBIK is always in an inconsistent state. Maybe some files have been replaced, some other are still old, the same for the database. So if someone uses DaDaBIK exactly in that time frame, we don't really know what can happen, right? So we want to open the application only when the upgrade process is over. So there are many ways to protect your application, but in cPanel you can through directory privacy you can just add a password to your folder. So here I am in public HTML test data CRM. Okay, at the moment it's not private. Edit, password, protect this directory, and I write here something like maintenance, save. Okay, so now it's protected. I will create a user here. So for example, username DaDaBIK, password, okay, this is just a test, so DaDaBIK $, and save. Okay, now if I open again my application, I should get this, okay, right, but I can enter using the user I just created. All right, so now I can access the application, but I'm the only one who can access the application, and I will only upgrade the application. I won't use it. All right, so backup. So I told you that you can use the backup tool here, but there are many other ways to do a backup. For example, you can just here from the file manager, this is my I'm talking about the files backup here, copy /test /data CRM backup. Okay, now I have, in 1 second, I got a file backup of my application. What about the database backup? Again, you can do it from here, but you can do it from we are using MySQL here, MySQL. For example, you can do it by using phpMyAdmin. Okay, so now it's in Italian. Let me change it. Okay, export. With export, you can create a dump of your database. Here you have all the options you need. All right, so let's create our backup. So the files backup is done, and I also create MySQL backup using this tool. Okay, done. I'm ready to revert back, restore back my DaDaBIK application in case something happens. Now what I have to do, so here cPanel, all right, so here I have my latest version of DaDaBIK 11.8. Let's unzip the file. I get this folder. Okay, program files. The first thing you have to do is upload app and the app and up2 files into your DaDaBIK folder. So upload here, all right, and let me take the two files and I will drop the files here. All right, done. So now I will run up.php, requirement check, everything seems fine. For additional requirements, you should check the requirements chapter of the documentation. We won't do it because I know we are fine. Continue. Okay. So your current version is 11.6. The latest version available is 11.8. So the process created a temporary folder here. Let's check it by reloading here. This one, upgrades, and then we have a strange number here. So basically here we have to put the zip package of the latest version. Okay, so here, and this is the file we have to upload, right? So again, upload, and then I'll drag here the file. Let's wait until the upload is completed. Let me check. Not yet, apparently. Okay, now it's there, so we can continue. Okay, now the procedure, the upgrade procedure, tells us what is happening, what is going to happen. Basically, this script is going to replace almost all the DaDaBIK files with the new ones, but keeping your custom files untouched. So for example, your config custom file, or your custom functions files, your custom PHP pages files, those custom files remain untouched. Okay, so files replacement, the database will be altered. For example, DaDaBIK in this version might need additional fields in the DaDaBIK tables, so these ones. So the script will add those fields, for example. And finally, at the end, DaDaBIK will set some metadata in the database to record the fact that DaDaBIK has been upgraded. All right. Okay. It's very important that you read the changelog. I always publish a very detailed changelog with the new features, the changes, and the bugs fixed. I know it's boring to go through the changelog, but it's very useful because you will see which bugs affected your previous version. So maybe there is something you have to do, something you have to tell to your users about that. And you will also see, well, of course, the new features, but also if something has changed. Maybe there are some changes also in the way you have to use your custom code. So it's very important to know that. All right. Okay. So let's go back here. I accept license and privacy policy, and I will continue. Let's wait, it can take time. All right, everything seems to be fine. So here you see what happened basically. And here you have some general upgrade notes. So you have the new documentation, the changelog, license, frequently asked questions. As a security measure, you should delete this file up and up to upgrade, upgrade to, install, and install2.php. And I'm going to do it. Probably we will have, all right, install install2 and up and up to. Okay, and then it's also good security practice to change DaDaBIK session name in config-custom.php using a name you haven't used in the past. I'm not going to do it for this test, but please do it. So this makes invalid all the current sessions. So all the users that were logged in DaDaBIK before you password protected the application will need to log in again. All right. Well, if you're using the WordPress DaDaBIK wrapper, of course, you have to change this also there. Then here, we typically highlight some very important upgrade notes. Okay, sometimes here there are things that you also see here in the changelog, but not necessarily. These typically are very important things, and you have to read them, obviously. Okay, we can see the result of our upgrade. We might need to change, to clean the cache of our browser, because, for example, if the new version changes the CSS files, maybe your browser tries to continue to load the previous version because it's in cache. So I will clean the cache, and then well, this is something that also other users should do, and I can start using it. Okay, so okay, our application is still there. Maybe you should check. Maybe you should have a test routine, so a list of operations, of typical operations you do on your application, especially if those operations involve the use of custom code. And before I'm protecting the application, you should check if everything is still working as before. It should, okay, but just in case, it's better to double check. So let's see here. Okay, now we have a version 11.8. So the upgrade was fine. PHP version is still 7.4, but now we can change it. So tools, PHP version, because now we have a DaDaBIK version that supports PHP 8.1. Here we go. IonCube is already installed. Apply. All right. Reload. Okay. PHP version 8.1. And everything is still working, apparently. The other thing you can notice is that we don't see anymore the red message here saying there is a new version available. So the very last thing we have to do, of course, is we have to go back here and in directory privacy, we remove the password protection for Dada CRM. Okay, so edit. Okay. All right. So now everybody can access our upgraded application. So what happens if what you have to do if something happens during the upgrade, if you get an error? Very easy. We have our backup here. So for the files, you can just, at that point, this will be a sort of corrupted folder with, you don't really know how is the file situation here. So you can just delete this folder and rename this as Dada CRM without the backup. This is for the files. For the database, the thing I suggest is delete all the tables from your database. Again, this database might be in an inconsistent state, so delete everything and import from here or from here. Let me check. Backup. Restore MySQL database backup. The SQL dump you have produced. Why did I tell you to delete the tables before? In most of the cases, the dump also contains for each table a drop table statement. So before recreating the table, if it's there, is deleted automatically. In most of the cases, not always. However, maybe you added, using the upgrade process, additional tables that weren't there before upgrading. So if you really want to come back to your original situation, you have to delete before all the tables and then import the backup. Okay. All right. I think that's it for this tutorial. If you have any questions, as usual, you can add a comment here, and see you next time. Ciao.